All right, number 19. Number 19 here. So it says for the following data, approximate the mean number of emails received per day. So you have these ranges, 8 to 11, 12 to 15, right? 16 to 19, 20 to 23, and so on and so forth. So we have to take the class midpoint, multiply it by the frequency, and that gives us the numbers that we're going to use to total up to get our total. And then we're going to divide by the total frequency, just like you divide by the total number of tests that you take to get your test average or whatnot. So if we look at this one here, we have for the frequency, we have, now you can't read that. For the frequency, we have 36, 41, 3, 33, and 6. So if we get the total here, the total frequency, right, that's how many there are, that's what you divide by. So it's going to be 30, 70, 100, 100, 710, 119. All right, total 119. And then we need our class midpoints. I'm just going to call it CM, class midpoints. And if you recall, the definition is you add 2 consecutive lower limits and divide by 2. All right? So the first one is going to be 8 plus 12, which is 20, divided by 2, which is 10. The next, so it's going to be 8 plus 12 divided by 2, which is going to be 20 over 2, which is 10. That's how I got 10. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the next 2 lower class limits are 12 plus 16, which is going to be 28 divided by 2, which is 14. So the next lower class limit is 14. All right? So there's 14 of those. I'm sorry, there's 41 that fall into 14 emails per day, right, for the midpoint, class midpoint. Then you have 16 and 20 as the next 2 lower class limits. That's going to be 36 divided by 2 is going to be 18. So 3 times we're going to count 18 emails per day, even though it's somewhere between 16 and 19, right? It could be 16 every time, it could be 17, it could be 18, 19, it could be one of each. You know, well, it couldn't be one of each with 3, but it could be 3 different values, and it may not even be 18. And again, we say, okay, what's the next one? It's going to be 20 plus 24 divided by 2 is going to be 44 over 2, which is 22. So 22 emails per day, if we call that our class midpoint, happened 33 times, right? That's the frequency. That's how many times it happened. And then finally, this last class of 24 to 27 emails happened 6 times. And if you kept going, the next lower class limit would be what? 28. So it's going to be 52 over 2 is 26. So 26 is that class midpoint. And then remember, you take the sum of your class midpoints times, so you take this and you multiply each one of these, you know, dot multiplication, parentheses, whatever. So you do 10 times 36, you do 14 times 41, you do 18 times 3, you do 22 times 33, you do 26 times 6. All right? And when you do that, you're going to sum all those things up once you get them multiplied. All right? So 10 times 36, that one's pretty simple. That's 360. 14 times 41 is not quite as simple. Okay? So 14 times 41 is 574. 18 times 3 should be 54. Let's check it to make sure it is. All right, 22 times 33 is 726. And then 26 times 6 is 156. And then we add those up. So 156 plus 726 plus 54 plus 574 plus 360 is 1870. 1870 is the total of this. Which remember, that's your class midpoint. That's the value you're using. And then the frequency is how many times that value occurs. So we're estimating because we're using class midpoints. So 1870. And so to get the mean, the approximate mean is going to be 1870 over 119. 1870 divided by 119. and I get 15.7142857. So that's 1/7 it looks like. 15.7 is D. So let's see if D is the answer to number 19. And indeed, D is the answer to number 19. So what I'm going to do to get myself more space here is just duplicate that page and then do this little trick that you guys showed me, or some of my students showed me when they use this, and just delete that. All right. So now let's look at the next one here. The grades are given for a student. Find the grade point average. And here's the grades below, right? An A is worth 4, a B is worth 3, a C is worth 2, a D is worth 1, and an F is not worth anything. So this particular student had 2 credit hours of an F. So you put the value for F, which is 0. Okay? This is the hours. This is the F. Okay? And then plus, now we have 3 hours of a C. What is a C? Well, the C is 2, right? Or 2.0. And then plus, we have the hours next for the class is going to be what? 1 hour. We have a 1 credit hour course that the student made an A in, and that's a 4. Plus, the next one is, and this was hours again. We have hours, and this time the grade is a B. So the hours for this class is 4, and then they made a B, which is 3, and then plus we have hours again, and this time they made a C. So it's 2 hours, and then for a C it's a 2. So it's all those things added up. I know I wrote smaller as I got there across there. And then you add up the hours. 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus. So if we start doing this here, this is going to be 0, and 3 times 2 is going to be 6, and then plus 4, plus 12, plus 4. Over, that's going to be 5, that's going to be 6, it's going to be 10, and it's going to be 12, right? So then, if we go back to my yellow that I started with, 6 plus 4 is 10, and that's 16. 10 plus 16 is 26 over 12. 26 divided by 12 is going to be 2, and 2 12, so this is 2 and 1 6. This should be a 2.1. It should be 1 and 6 repeated. Let me just check it to make sure. Yes. And then that rounds to 2 decimal places to 2.17, which in this case is answer choice B. And for number 20, B is correct. B is correct. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this again. I'm writing kind of big, but that's okay. Let's come through here and let's take this off here. And let's go down here to this little blue color here. Here it says a student scores 74 on a geography test and 282 on a math test. Now, so we have geography and we have math. In fact, I'm going to color code this. I'm going to do math in orange. Okay, geometry in that light blue, and geography. What did I say? Geometry, geography. And so the X, what the student scored was 74. The mean is 80, and the standard deviation sigma is 5. So I need to calculate a z-score for geography. Now that sub g doesn't mean the z sub alpha business. I'm just designating that this is the geography z-score. And it's going to be, if you remember z equals x minus mu over sigma, or x minus x bar, blah, 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 if you had it in sample, whatever. But x minus mu over sigma. So z equals 74 minus 80 over 5. Negative 6 over 5, which is negative 1.2. So the z-score for the geography test, I tried to call it geometry again, the geography test, the z-score is negative 1.2. That means the student scored 1.2 standard deviations below the mean. That means below the mean, right? So now let's come over here and look at math. What did the student score on math? 282. What is the mu and the sigma here. Mu is 300 and standard deviation is 12. It says if the data for both tests is normally distributed, on which test did the student score better relative to the other students in the class? So again, the greater z-score, right, is going to be the one that did better because they're going to have done better compared to their classmates, and this is, you know, a normal distribution, so we can use this and that kind of thing. So again, the z-score for math, if we do x, which is 282, minus mu, which is 300, over sigma, which is 12, and I believe it's going to be negative 18 over 12, which is negative 1.5. And that's the z-score for math. So the math score was 1.5 standard deviations below the mean, and the geography score was 1.2 standard deviations below the mean. So on which test did the student fare better here? Well, the student did better on geography. The student did better on geography. So that is for number 21, answer choice A, right? The student scored better on geography. You can't read it when I do that. Find the z-score for the value 66 when the mean is 51 and the standard deviation is 1. So let me go ahead and copy this page again. And then let me come through here and do this again. Oh, I'm just moving the z. All right, so for this one, find the z-score for the value. So x equals 66 here. That's the value. And the mean, mu, is 51, and sigma is 1. Let me fix this. I don't like this, my minus sign there. My minus, my equal sign, I'm sorry. Z equals x minus mu over sigma. Z equals 66 minus 51 over 1. That's going to be 15 over 1, which is 15. So the z-score here is 15. And we typically go to a couple of decimal places here. So 15.00 to be technical. And then that is answer choice D for 22. D for 22. A highly selective boarding school only admits students who place at least 1.5 z-scores above the mean, 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. And it's a standardized test. The mean is 110 and the standard deviation is 12. What is the minimum score that somebody can have to be accepted? So picture-wise on this one, picture-wise on number 23, okay? This one here, 22. And actually, I wonder if I should just make this a little smaller right here. Well, shoot. Oh, now it's, let me undo it. Hang on, sorry. Let's move this a little bit and then kind of make it smaller. Okay. So we know that the z-score is 1.5 and it's above the mean, so it's positive. All right, and we know that mu equals 110 and sigma equals 12. And what we want to know is, what is that score? What is the score that I can make as a minimum score in this scenario on this test to be 1.5 standard deviations above the mean? So if I look at my formula where it says z equals x minus mu over sigma, then I know that z is 1.5. I'm looking for x, so leave it x. Minus mu is 110 over sigma is 12. So this is just an algebraic equation This is about as algebraic as we're going to get in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by my LCD, right? That goes back to how you saw all these things. You're going to multiply by the LCD that divides out because it's over 1. So you get 12 times 1.5, which is 18, equals x minus 110. And then we're going to add 110 to both sides because that cancels. We get 128 equals x. So the score, the cutoff score, so to speak, for this particular boarding school, this situation, if you don't make at least a 128, then you're not going to be considered for the program, or you can be accepted or whatever. So I don't know if you take the whole thing and find out later or what, but my son just took his permit test, and they told him that once he got 24 right, the test would end, or if he missed 7, the test would end. And so there were multiple people taking it. I think both scenarios happened where somebody missed 7 and they were done, didn't get to finish because they had already not passed it, and then somebody else had gotten their 24 correct, and boom, it was over. So of the different people who were there. All right, I just wanted to record page 4, and I'm going to put it out there as page 4 on here.